people at JP Morgan did an interesting study, and they said when you get to retirement, if you have 60 to 80% of your money in guaranteed sources, we'll kind of define that for you, those people spend 44% more money than people who don't have their money there. They have less anxiety. They enjoy their money and their retirement more. So, Ryan, tell me let's define this first. What are guaranteed sources of income? Do you use them a lot? And how much do people want to have? How much is it 60 to 80% that they want to have in these buckets? Or what do you usually see?
Guaranteed sources of income, if we think about what retirement income looks like, something that's guaranteed is, Social Security. That's going to come from the federal government. It's guaranteed. The federal government will change Social Security, or they'll just print more money so that Social Security will just continue. That money's going to come from them. The next level would be your pension. It's it's only as guaranteed as the stability of the pension itself, but for most parts, your pension is pretty guaranteed. Those are things that are going to come in regardless of what happens in the stock market. That's really what I consider to be guaranteed money, is income that you're going to have regardless of whether the stock market is going up 20% or down 20%. That money's coming in every single month, being deposited in your bank account, just like your paycheck was. Your paycheck was guaranteed as long as you're employed. This money is as guaranteed as it can possibly be. And then after that, you have to look at, where can my money come from in retirement? Well, you can use the overall stock market. Well, that's not guaranteed, because the stock market goes up, I'm making money. Stock market goes down, I'm losing money. You can use fixed income portfolios, where you're buying corporate bonds and you're collecting those interest payments from those. Well, we've had situations in the market where corporates have stopped making those bond payments. 2008 is a perfect example. They stopped making all those bond payments to save money. Those bond payments can change, because it's not like you have those bonds for 20, 30, 40 years. You're relying upon being able to go out and buy new ones. You can use preferred stocks or dividend paying stocks. Same thing there. You're relying upon the companies to continually pay those based on how well or how poor the company is doing. Or you can use annuities. Annuities are basically like buying your own personal pension. You are giving your money to an insurance company. You are transferring the risk of the stock market to that insurance company in exchange for a income stream that lasts your life. And if you do it the right way, it can last your spouse's life as well. And, it does beg the question of, how much money should I really have in these guaranteed income sources? And, it really all depends on how much money you're spending a month. I see all these studies from JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley or Fidelity or Vanguard that says you need to replace 60 or 80% of your your working income, essentially, for retirement. And, I get that. I can understand the logic behind that. But, what we shoot for when we're doing income planning for clients is, I want to know exactly what you are spending while you're working. That exact number. Is it $5,000 a month? Is it $8,000 a month? Is it $10,263.70 a month? I want to know what that exact number is, because that is the basis for all of our planning. Because if you're spending $8,250 a month, I want to know, where is your money come from that's guaranteed? How much money are you going to be bringing in for Social Security? How much is your spouse bringing in from Social Security? How much of your pension, if you're getting a pension, how much you're bringing in a pension? What does that total up to? Does that give me $5,000? Does it give me $7,000 a month, right? So if I'm bringing in $7,000 a month between my pensions and my Social Security, and I'm spending $8,000 a month, that's an extra $1,000 a month that I need to produce. Well, there is a distinct calculation that we can do if you want to use the stock market that says, here's how much money you'd have to put in the stock market to get that $1,000 a month. It's the same thing when it comes to fixed income. It's the same thing when it comes to dividend portfolios. It's the same exact thing when it comes to annuities. There's a very specific dollar amount that you put into it. Annuities have gotten a bad rap over the years because of the used car salesman type mentality that a lot of insurance agents have, where let me try to convince my clients, let me try to convince you, my client, to put as much of your money as I possibly can, legally, morally, ethically, into a vehicle like this, to where it'll get approved and accepted by the insurance company and that you'll be comfortable with. Well, the problem with that, and the reason they've gotten a bad rap, is that once you put money into annuities, for the most part, that money is there for 10 years. You can't touch all of your money without paying some type of penalty or fee for getting your money out. And you asked the question about how much of the money should be in guaranteed sources or not. In our opinion, you put in enough money to accomplish the goal. Because if I'm doing this calculation that says I'm 65 years old, my spouse is 64 years old, I'm going to retire in 2 years, I need an extra $1,000 a month. Well, all of these annuity vehicles, these guaranteed vehicles, have an interest rate attached to them. They say we're going to guarantee to grow your money at 5, 6, 7, 8% per year. And then when you turn on the income, there's a percentage that they pay. So it's just a time value of money calculation that we do that says you need to put in today, $216,532, made up number I just chose, but it is that specific so that 2 years from now, based on your ages, it's going to pay you that $1,000 a month every single month for as long as you or your spouse is alive. And people often ask me, should I put in more than that? I say, do you want more income than that? Because if you don't want more income than that $1,000 a month, there's no need to put any more money in this particular vehicle. Because any money that you are going to set aside for income, I don't care if you're using an annuity that's not liquid at all, or you're putting all that money in the stock market, any money that you're ever setting aside for income purposes, you can't ever go touch and grab all of it. Because if I have the money in annuity, there's penalties and fees. But if I have my money in the stock market and I need it to earn, it's paying me 4%. If I have $1 million paying 4% and I go and I take away 200,000, well, now I have $800,000 paying 4%, which is not the same number as $1 million paying 4%. So while it may be liquid from the perspective of I have my money in stocks, I have my money in bonds, I have my money in dividend paying stocks, it's liquid because I can go grab it. But the moment I go touch that money, it ruins the income. And so you only want to put in the smallest dollar amount possible to accomplish the income goal. It's not a magic 60% of my money should be in the overall market and liquid and 40% of my money should be in, a fixed vehicle that's guaranteed to pay my income. It is 100% situational, because we come across situations where clients have to put a significant portion of their assets into some type of investment income producing vehicle to generate the income need, because that's their situation. I also have other clients to where their Social Securities and their pensions are covering their income needs, and we don't have to set aside any money for income, any money that has to be secure, and it can all be growth oriented. Really, at the end of the day, it's how much money are you spending every single month? How much income do we have coming in already that's not relying upon the stock market? What's that bogey? And then it really just is a math calculation that says, here's how much of your nest egg we have to set aside for income. And then the best part about that is that once you make sure you have that income secure, right? We've taken money, we've set it aside so that no matter what happens in the stock market, I have my monthly income between whatever sources of income I have from pension or Social Security or rental income or whatever it has to be, plus my investment income. I have the money I need every single month. Everything else, well, at that point, you can be as aggressive as you want to be. If you want to swing for the fences and be 100% on the market, you want to buy NVIDIA and Facebook and Google and Oracle and SMCI, all those high yield stocks that just keep going up and up and up and up and taking on all that risk, you can do that. Because if the money that I don't need for income takes a 20% hit, I'm not happy because I just lost 20% of my money, but it has no bearing on that monthly income that I have coming in every single month. Conversely, if I want to be super conservative with that money and just earn 2, 3, 4%, that's fine, because I don't need to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on my money in the stock market to make my income work. If I just want to keep pace with inflation and keep that same dollar amount because I feel good about it, you can do that. That is really the benefit of having true retirement income planning, true investment planning in retirement, because it's not just put my money in the stock market and take out my gains. It's not just let me go buy bonds. Let's not just let me buy dividends. Yeah, you can do one of those things. You can do three of those things. You can go out and buy an annuity. It's about working with someone, creating this financial plan that accounts for all the ups and downs in the market, and it looks at everything that's available to you. Far too often, people choose to work with one company. Whether you're going to work with Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, because that's who's held your 401k, they're going to offer you their products. They're not going to look at anything outside of what they offer you. Same thing, you go to Morgan Stanley or Ed Jones or Merrill Lynch. They're going to offer you a variety of products, but they're going to offer you the variety of products that Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Ed Jones has chosen for them. And then you can go work with independent financial advisors. Some of them choose to work with one particular company, and others say, hey, whatever I think is going to be the best thing for my clients, that's what I'm going to offer my clients. And I'm going to show you everything that's out there to you. And at Prostatis, that is what we do. We are true independent financial advisors. I don't have any set ties to one specific company that I choose to work with. I have a myriad of options that are out there to all my clients because everybody's situation is different. And it all comes down to you and what you are really looking for in your own retirement and what is going to give you that peace of mind of knowing that I'm not going to outlive my money and I'm going to be able to live the retirement that I've always dreamed of.
It's interesting. The original question here was, we talk about guaranteed income, and the people who had 60 to 80% of their money in guaranteed income were the people who were seemingly the happiest in retirement. They knew that bucket was being filled up every month, and they spent it and felt very confident about their retirement. And in the example that you gave us, somebody who needs $8,000 a month, maybe $2,000 comes from her Social Security, $2,000 comes from his Social Security. Now we got to come up with $4,000. Maybe $4,000 comes from investments, and another $2,000 comes from the guaranteed income. And there's your 75%. It's exactly what the article was talking about. You have to figure out what you would like in your retirement. There's only a few places to put your money: the banks, the stock market, insurance companies, and real estate. Let's figure out what area you want to play in and how much you want to play in those areas for your retirement.